Oh, hello everyone. I just had a very interesting morning. So, as you can see behind me, I got my trailer hooked up. And I got some stuff in the back of the truck. So I went out to, last night, after I made the videos, you know what, let's stop, restart. Okay. So, yesterday I made the videos, and believe me, I watched part of it. I couldn't even make it through my old video. I knew they were chaotic. I was all over the place. So I will try to be a little bit more, I don't know the right word. I'll try to keep it in the lanes. How about that? That's a good way to explain it. So let me give a little update for this whole week. Monday, I went over and talked with the people about making the t-shirts, everything. Their numbers were a little chaotic, and I was trying to go over some scenarios with them as far as, what happens with this, what happens with that, what's the, the warranty on the shirts, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't get me in. They're like, most people don't ask these kind of questions. No, I'm not most people. I try to take care of problems before they become problems. So they're trying to get some more information to me. I'm still kind of negotiating numbers with them, and I'm going to be looking at another company to do business with as a plan B. So, you're a weird dude. So anyways, that happened. Yesterday I made the videos, went around after I got done, went and had dinner with my mom, which was great, played some Yahtzee, or modified Yahtzee, and we did that. And then that night, I don't know I took a nap in the chair at her house. I took like a 30-minute nap, and that gave me way too much damn energy. So I went last night in the dark and decided to weed eat the front of the warehouse. So I got, it was growing up and getting aggravated. So I took the little battery powered weed eater and went out there and hooked that up. Which, by the way, that DeWalt 60 volt, not that little 20 volt, but the 60 volt, best weed eater I've ever used. So that's an endorsement. And DeWalt, if you ever want to sponsor me, I got you, brothers. All right, but anyways, and then after that, I went to the house and hooked up the trailer and loaded up a whole bunch of doors last night. So this morning I went and dropped the doors off, picked up a couple pieces of furniture, some shelves, things like that. I'm gonna take that out to the flea market and see about trying to sell that stuff. And I think my neighbor at the flea market sold one of my tables. So I don't know if it's sold or not, but I'm gonna go out there. If it's sold, then I got 60 bucks. And then this morning, almost had an issue at Hardee's. So I talked with the manager at Hardee's and kind of explained how I try to help people out and everything else, and told him that you have a huge lawsuit, that a couple things need to be fixed. And he's like, I didn't even know about it. Thank you for bringing my attention. Says no problem. So, but yeah, he had some stuff going on, that was obvious, but you have to look at things a certain way. So I went and helped him out. And one of my sisters, she sells insurance and everything. So, I hear all, not all, but some of the little stories on the crazy way people get sued. And there's actually a group of people that their purpose is to go around and find things like I see. And then, of course, trip, fall, slip, whatever. And then, they do cash outs on the insurance company, because the insurance company has no problem cutting a check just for you to go away. I don't approve of that behavior, but I fully understand it. So, and that leads me up to, almost up to this point. So, went over to a house. They had furniture, all kinds of stuff, and they're from Pakistan. And got into, they wanted to sell me the contents of their house, and they got a bunch of stuff, but it's 80% trash, and I really don't want to get into moving trash because I got enough to move myself. Focus, quit looking at other things. But anyway, I got into a very in-depth conversation, which are the conversations that I would love to put on here. So I'm going to try my best at this point in time to go over one part of a very long conversation I had, almost 2-hour conversation with him. And I'm going to try my best to stay focused, okay? Now, this all goes back to me being in a primarily black 6th grade center back in the 80s, okay? I went to a school, R.L. Brown, and I was one of very few white kids in the school because back then they were against segregation, which now segregation is the thing that everybody's trying to do again. They want to separate everybody, which I disagree with. But so because I was raised in a poor to middle class area, they moved us from our area over, to the other, into downtown Jacksonville, into a primarily black neighborhood or black school. And that's where I went to 6th grade at. So I learned a lot about a wide variety of cultures at a young age. But one of the things that my mom really never knew, but there's times where, like I would have to use the bathroom after the classes started. You go to your different rooms and everything. And, after the classes started, I'd go to the bathroom. So hopefully there's not a bunch of people in the bathroom, because if there was, I'd probably get jumped. For the most part, it was okay, but there was a lot of just unnecessarily just things happen, and it would be the same effect as having, 5 or 6 black kids going to an all-white school. The pressure and the situations that they would get involved in, I found myself in a reverse situation. But anyways, that's not the point I'm trying to make here. But I was the one that always went into the library, and in the back corner of the library, nobody really ever went back there, so that's kind of where I hung out. And it was the nonfiction travel area, so I was always looking at, maps of the old world and history, and got to looking in some encyclopedias. And in the back of the encyclopedia, they had a thing where, all the flags, and I promise I'm getting to the point, but they would have the flags of different nations and everything else, and there was this one part where it had a bunch of faces, and it was basically saying, okay, for Poland or the Polish people, this is the general look of a Polish person. This is the general look of someone from Pakistan. This is a general look for someone from Egypt. This is a general look from someone from Laos, and you got all these different areas and regions, and they have the facial characteristics. And I probably looked at that more than anything else, just trying to find the differences, and it kind of got me into a respect for genealogy, and and in a way kind of got me into history/religion to find out where we, our creation story, actually everybody's creation story. So give me a second, let me concentrate on the road. All right, so over the years, hold on a second, I think that's my truck driver that just happened to pass me on 295. But anyways, over the years, I've always kind of had maybe not the full, which I wish I'd have done it full blown, where but I've always dabbled in it, is a way to say it. And I've studied about the creation of the creation stories, I should say, like the Mayans, the Incans, Jewish, Islamic, Christianity. You got the Norse mythology, Greek mythology. You have the Roman gods and their creation story. You have the old world Egyptian, their gods. And then you go into some of the more unique styles, like the Philippines, their original religion before they got converted to Christianity, and everything's gotten a little bastardized down there as far as from the original, not saying it's bad. You got the Hopi Indians, which have an insane creation story. You have the Aborigines, which You know, and these are things that I can't sit here and explain to you one by one, maybe at another point, but for right now, you know, it's a lot to take in. So anyways, I started learning about where people come from, and, you know, why do we look different? And, you know, I have my own personal opinion, and I'm sure there's some holes in it, because if I knew everything, I wouldn't be driving a $200 Ford right now. So, but the one thing that is common in a lot of religions and a lot of, you know, aspects is there is one God. All of them have, and we can play with names all day. I'm not going to sit here and try to, you know, say that one thing is more than other regardless of your religion, but all of them have the one boss God, the big G, okay? The one who's in charge of everything. For instance, like, you know, Odin was one of the big gods in Norse mythology. Zeus was the big god in Greek mythology. You know, God is the big god of Christianity. You know, you got Yahweh, you have, you know, spiritually, you got Ra in the Egyptian, you know, mythology. And when I say mythology, that does not mean it's fake. That means that was their religion. Okay, and I need to express this. I consider myself Judeo-Christian. Okay, that does not mean that my religion is right and yours is wrong. It's not what I'm trying to go to on this. What I'm trying to talk about is I believe what I believe, and I accept that you believe what you believe. I do not accept what you believe, but I accept that you believe it. So, you know, at no point am I ever going to condemn somebody else because they don't believe what I believe. You know, and that's an argument me and my dad has gotten to many times, because he's in the mindset that his religion is the only religion and everybody else is condemned, and I do not agree with that. So I think we all have the same religion, but for a wide variety of reasons, we have changed it per region or whatever. You know, it's been modified over time. I mean, hell, you know, now it's okay to be gay and everything in the Catholicism. So, you know, it wasn't that way a long time ago. So obviously things are changing, and it's changed since the history of time. So anyways, not to get off track, but that's kind of let me make sure I'm staying on track here. But the fact that we are all under the big G, you know, whatever you want to call them, it doesn't matter. But, you know, and then in all religions, including Christianity, you have lesser, and I'm going to, gods, you know, and because a lot of religions call them gods, but in Christianity, they're angels or spirits or, you know, and I know I'm going to step on toes by saying that, but even Jesus was a lesser God. He was a prophet, he was a deity, he was a spiritual being, but he wasn't God. Okay? You can say divine trinity, blah, blah, blah. That's not the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to make is everybody pretty much says the same thing by saying it differently. Wow, that did not make sense. Like, everybody has a set of rules. Everybody, all religions say heaven is up, hell is down. Almost every religion, heaven is up, hell is down. Okay? Why is there no religions that says heaven is in the earth? No, it's hell is in the earth, all of them. You have these, trying to keep an eye on some of the stuff in the trailer, make sure it don't blow up. Not everything's strapped down, so. But you have multitudes of religions that talk about different levels, aka gates of hell. You know, you have the Mayans and Incans where there's, you know, you have to go further into the earth to find the different stages of hell. You know, the snake, the jaguar, all that kind of stuff. And why does so many religions have snakes as the bad guy? Almost every single religion has snakes as the bad guy. Why? It's too much of a connection. So I'm going to propose a really crazy idea for you, okay? Now, most of the scientific community and most of the people who have even dabbled in this subject all kind of agree that in the past, Earth has moved in its rotation. In other words, the North Pole and the South Pole in the past are not where they are now. The Earth has flipped. It has changed the magnetic field of the Earth. In other words, it's flip-flopped over and over again. And the scientific community, although not 100% agrees, most of them have it within a 12, 36, or 48,000 year cycle. Okay, depending on who you talk to, they're all within this a multiplication of 12. And that's one of the little key numbers I want you guys to take off as. It's always the numbers that it's 72, it's 48, it's 36. It's always multiple of 12,000 years. So if you were to look back 12,000 years ago from today, roughly, we have a story in the Bible and a story in many religions of a flood. So if for some reason the Earth did cataclysmically shift, the water on the Earth will slosh around. Okay, it'll move around the planet. And what I'm about to say now is going to really blow you guys' minds. This may be one of my most important videos I've made so far. But the water sloshes around. Now, 3 areas that have ancient life, okay, is the high plains of the Central America, which is the Hopi Indians, one of the oldest creation stories on the in the Americas, okay, way before the Incans and the Mayans was the Hopi Indians. You have the Aborigines and the Islands Pacificers. Yeah, that's cool. But the Aborigines on the high plains of Australia, which if you kind of go back, you got some old stuff there. And then you have, you have the Sahara, which used to not be a desert. It used to be, you know, roughly, I think it's 48,000 years ago, it used to be a very lush, you know, there was oases and trees, and, you know, it used to not be a desert. And I guess there'd be some Chinese in there too, because they did survive. And then India, so there might have been more than 3, because you got the Ellora Caves in India. So anyways, let's back up. I don't want to get, but you had quite a few groups that were able to survive the last cataclysm. Now, with that group, you lost a lot of writing, a lot of science, a lot of technology, and I know what you're going to say, there was no technology in the past. I agree with you 80%. There was a technology of the past that we don't know, aka there's a lot of buildings out there we can't explain for. You know, you got the churches in Ethiopia, you got the pyramids, you have the, you know, the underground cities in was it Tumotip? No, I can't remember the name, but the real old city where they got the little T-squares. You got Pumapunko, you got all these ancient structures which predate current civilization, okay? So anyways, I'm getting a little off track, but let me try to get back on track. So, in certain time periods, the Earth has shifted, water sloshes, so all of the ancient stuff, like all the stuff today of water slosh, all these roads, all this stuff would pretty much be destroyed. Okay, there's only be a few structures that would survive, mainly like Mount Rushmore would survive. You'd have, you know, all of DC would be destroyed, so every single building there would be wiped off, you know, the sand. This has to do with the flood. If anybody has Google Earth, okay, there's a place called the Ratagat or something. They call it the Eye of the Sahara. Go on Google Earth, type in Eye of Sahara, and you'll see this multiple ringed round structure. I'm not saying it looks like Atlantis, not saying it, but measurements add up, 3 rings. But if you actually go and look and zoom out of where the Eye of the Sahara is, look at the patterns of the sand when you zoom out, and I'm talking about zoom out quite a bit, where you see the most of the eastern part of the Sahara Desert. And then for those of you who have been to the beach, when you pour water on the sand and it washes away, tell me if that don't look like a water just splashed over the whole entire coast of Africa. Because that's exactly what it looks like. So let's say you had water sloshing, and hypothetically 12,000 years ago, which kind of coincides with a time period that Noah was around. I'm not saying it's related, I'm just saying it's a coincidence. Although some people say Noah was 6,000 years ago, which is possible, because it still could have happened 6,000 years ago. Which means some of the carbon dating and a lot of the time that we know it is wrong, but that could be, you know, I mean, the Earth was flat at one point, and then it was round, and now it's flat again, right? If you don't get that joke, there's a lot of people online that thinks the Earth's flat. So they also think that the moon landing was fake, so it is what it is. But yeah, so this event happened. I mean, everybody agrees that it did happen. The Earth has flipped its axis. You know, water has been, you can see on Google Earth the satellite images of water being across wide variety of areas. I mean, same thing happened in the tsunami in the Indonesia. You know, when you zoom out and look at the after pictures, it kind of looks like, you know, Africa does. So, give me a second. I have to drive here. Get over here. Hold on. I'm just trying not to die so I can finish this story. So, going back on creationism. So now, all this stuff happens, and we have these groups of people that have survived this cataclysmic event. And I wish I could talk better so I could be a better storyteller to you guys. But anyways, so they have lost everything that they know, okay, and they got to rebuild. Well, if you go like the creation stories of almost every single religion, you have this big G, or it's you know, lesser people come down from the heavens and help us out to rebuild and to redo everything, okay? And you can call them whatever you want to call them. A name, I'm only saying that what has happened. This is, you know, through religion, through science, everybody kind of agrees that, you know, something came down from a heaven, or aka dimension. Depends on what you believe. I'm trying to put it all out there. And they come down and help us out and, you know, fix what needs to be fixed, and kind of gives us a do-over and say, here, start over. And then they leave. And then we kind of fend for ourselves, and that's how we've progressed. Because some people say we've been around for millions of years. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, because if we can progress this much in the past 100 years, I mean, 1920s, we were still having horse carriages and just starting to make the engine, and now we're doing, you know, flights off the planet, almost going to Mars, to another planet. We got electric cars, we got flying cars, and yes, we do have flying cars. They're not civilian use, but yes, we have them. I mean, we have, you know, AI that would scare the shit out of any science fiction writers. You know, and the scary part, me being prior government, everything that you know now, the military has known for years. Everything that you see on television, like, you know, these combat operations and war movies and all this stuff, and this high-tech stuff, it's been around. It is not science fiction. There is more shit going on than you can possibly imagine. And that is not exaggeration. It's amazing what you see when you're out in the middle of the North Atlantic on a ship and doing night ops. And that's back in the 90s. So anyways, back to creation. So you got all these things going around back in the beginning of the rebirth of this planet. after, you know, most of the people have died, and there's stories on it. Almost every religion talks about it. You know, you have spiritual beings all throughout this world, everywhere. Every tribe, every group has a story, and you don't have to believe it, but you do have to understand that they believe it, that is their truth and their facts. So, and until they've been, you know, persuaded, manipulated, or proven to be wrong, they're going to believe that till the day they die. And yes, that was a really insane statement I just made, but it's true. But anyways, basically, to sum it all up, we were all part of one giant event, experiment, collaboration of minds that we can't understand. Okay? And I'm saying multiple words to, you know, talk about multiple scenarios of what could happen, and everything's deliberate here, what I'm saying. But in, you know, the gates of hell, the gates of everything that's, you know, the bad people that are in the earth, I strongly believe that, you know, has corrupted our ability to regroup and you know, because everything evil in this world is about separation of people. You know, if we were all to get back together as a group, which I believe we used to be, and I'm not talking spiritually, I'm talking about just morally, ethically, you know, and if it could be spiritually, that's fine too, but if we could all just get back to a group, and I'm not saying we all have to agree, but just to understand that we don't agree, and to accept that, instead of condemning and killing and ostracizing and in some cases jailing or enslaving people who do not agree with us because of one aspect of one life. You know, that's what's wrong right now. That's the problem that we have, that, you know, when we were together, we were a lot more powerful. And I'm talking about way before, you know, you hear the stories of Sodom and Gomorrah, and I mean, this has always been around. But there was a time, I couldn't tell you when it is, but there was a time when we were together. If you believe in Atlantis, that was the time. You know, if you believe in that we had a power source, which I have some theories on that too. And it's not, well, it is electrical, but it's not the electrical like we have confined in wires. I mean, there's free electricity in this world that, in fact, the entire universe is made of electric. Well, hell, we're electric. We are electric chemical beings. And for some reason, we were enlightened with a spirit, with a entity that allows us to think more than the other animals. But every tree, every plant, every animal on this planet is an electrochemical machine. Period. Can't prove me wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. Well, I am saying I'm right, because but everything on this planet that is alive, that has a life, is an electrochemical machine. But we as humans, and I guess you can, if you want to, say dolphins and a couple of monkeys, but we were all, like, you know, we were enlightened to be able to create music, to create art, to create a universe in our heads to where we can live out a unique lifestyle that is not just about survival and when am I going to get my next meal. You know, we can indulge ourselves into, you know, to, what's funny is there's people that indulges ourselves, and I know I'm getting off track, but we have a life that we can live, and there's some people that give up that life to live one on a computer in the form of video games or role play or whatever you want to do. But I mean, that's how far we progressed from going out and hunting for our own food and dying in the process to I don't want to say be miserable, but to be at a point where we take our real living blood lives and close ourselves off to a electronic simulated life. That's crazy that we have done this. You know what I mean? Just think about the stuff that is happening in our world. You know, think about what's happened throughout the history. I mean, we have wars and famine and disease, but we always make it through. We always, with less people, we always have less people afterwards, but we always make it through, and we always do better, but we still fight the same stupid fights. We condemn others. You know, like, I can go into a black neighborhood, I can listen to rap, I can be, you know, 80-90% of everything they agree with, but because I don't want to be, and I know this isn't, you know, this is stereotyping, I know, but, you know, if I don't want to be a gangster or a drug dealer, or because of my skin color, or because of, you know, one aspect of my life, I would not be accepted into that community because of one little, even though 80% of who I am is part of the black culture. Okay, all my friends in high school were black. Okay, in fact, the few white friends I had, they listened to rap, and, you know, I mean, I grew up on rap. That's the culture. I was raised on the hip hop culture, you know. But there's certain aspects of the hip hop culture that I don't agree with. I don't agree that every single woman, you know, needs to be dressed up like a hooker and shake that ass for me while I throw $1 bills on your ass. I don't agree with that, you know. I don't agree that, you know, to be accepted in the hip hop community, that you have to be a pimp, a player, or a thug, or a killer, you know. But not all, but there's a good portion that thinks that is the hip hop community, your street cred, everything else. You know, I don't believe that, you know, if you are Islamic, that you're a terrorist. You know, I mean, there's been terrorists of every single religion out there, both in retaliation and in, you know, attack. So, and I know this is a lot to take in on, but the main thing is that the point I'm trying to get across is we, as a people, are so much better and so much stronger together than we ever could be apart. I mean, the secrets, the lies, the deceit, you know, the segregation that has been created in front of us. I mean, the news media that you listen to is rich versus poor, it's black versus white, it's American versus immigrant, it's vax versus non-vax, it's, you know, it's Christian versus Islamic, or, you know, it's, you got all these people that are constantly feeding us division. And for what? You know, okay, so, you know, back in a war, an Islamic person killed a member of your family. Well, I'm sure, you know, during the Crusades, that one of your ancestors killed an Islamic. And before that, the Ottoman Empire probably killed a Christian. And before that, you know, you had the Romans that probably killed the Ottomans. I mean, when do we stop the stupidity? Anyways, that's my little bit deeper of a rant. Hopefully I stayed on subject, and, you know, and I know not everybody watches the whole video, and I'm fine with that, but this is a good one. This is the one that I'm really trying to put out something positive out there. So, homework for today, in which I've done it. My neighbor across the way, Leon, a while back, because I voted for Trump, he called me an idiot and a racist. And I can't tell you how much that upset me. And I'm using the term upset as a very mild description of my feelings. Like, it's a good thing I didn't have a piece of L angle in my hand. Okay? So, but anyways, you know, it's, I've gotten past it, and I've had to sit down, and I talked with him, and I explained to him my views. Now, we still do not agree on certain things, okay? But now, because we talked and because we didn't just blindly hate each other, you know, we have become pseudo friends. I mean, I'm not going out drinking with him anytime soon, and we don't live in the same world. You know, as far as his world is a lot different than mine. But I go out and I constantly help him out. He helps me out, and we've formed a symbiotic relationship. You know, not of hate, but of understanding. And again, we're not friends. We're not buddy. But we have an understanding that even though we have differences, we found one common thing to agree on instead of one thing to disagree on. And that's, try to find someone you don't like and find something in common that you can get one enemy out of your life, and not necessarily make a friend, but just lose an enemy. That's your homework for today. But as usual, I hope you guys are having a good week. I'm about to unload a bunch of stuff and spend the rest of the... Oh, you know what? I probably should have got food. Damn it. Oh well, I'll lose weight. So, but anyways, peace, love, money. I'm out.